ocean to ocean. Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flick Show. My name is Chris Wong. It looks like Aquaman is almost, and maybe by the time you hear this, we've already surpassed The Dark Knight Rises in the box office. Currently, from this report on Deadline, which is, a day or two old, it's at 1.07 billion. I'm sure it's already way past that by the time you guys already hear this, and it's probably have already surpassed Dark Knight Rises. But in any case, it is amazing that Aquaman continues to win in the box office, and for a hero no one really cared about, for a hero that people joked about for a long period of time, it has been like the top contender, top prize-winning contender in the DCEU as we speak. And Warner Brothers knows what they have. Of course, with every Warner Brothers film, anything that does really successful, it's time to talk about sequel. They've talking about it. So as Warner Bros. Has begun the process of bringing director James Wan back for the inevitable sequel. Sources said the plan in discussion is for Wan to oversee the development of a second film, including the selection of writers, and then make a decision on whether to direct it when he sees the script. So he has full full hard press on what to do with that. It will be his decision. He wants to find the right writers and things like that, and have people oversee that script, and he has to be happy with it. Now, for a little bit of tinfoil, people are wondering does this mean Jason Momoa and James Wan are kind of like, well, you guys got to reach the Snyder Cut first before. I don't know if that's the case. That'd be kind of cool if that was part of the contract, but I don't know. But in any case, Aquaman was a success, and that automatically equals to we need a sequel. We need another Aquaman 2 out there, and James Wan is the guy to do it. Of course, we've heard that Black Manta was, teased at the end of, teased at the end of Aquaman. He was in Aquaman, but we're going to see a little bit more development from him, I bet, and that will play into the sequel. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, putting out different writers here and there, and don't get mad at me, but literally, I still think an advisement role from Jeff Johns. I know you're like, what? Did you just say the GJ word? The snake. He's not going to be in a produced role. Everything's going to be up to James Wan and possibly even producer Zack Snyder, because Zack Snyder his name is still attached because he, brought in Jason Momoa. That's why his name is attached on Wonder Woman 1984. So it'll be up to them. But I'm saying that Aquaman had a lot of series of comics, and there's a lot of lore there that they could tap into, sort of an advisement role from Jim Lee and the DC staff, but even taking cues from some of the written material that Jeff Johns had done for the DC Comics. He can't tell them what to put in. He can't tell them what not to put in. He can just advise. It's kind of like just confer with. That's all he's pretty good at. And writing stories is what Jeff Johns is good at. So I just want to suggest that. Not that you'll listen to me anyway. You can do whatever you want. But so Aquaman sequel is coming out. James Wan seeking seaworthy script. Of course, those puns intended. And of course, Jason Momoa and everybody will be back for that. So great. Congratulations, James Wan. We got a DCU hit, and looks like you're ready for a sequel. But he has to be okay with everything. So complete control. Cool. But that's not the only movie that is coming out, right? We've got Shazam, and we've already heard a lot of things about that. No trailer yet. Why? I don't know why. But no trailer yet. But the other movie is Wonder Woman 1984, which was supposed to have come out, this year, but now it's going to come out next year. But Patty Jenkins is already talking about Wonder Woman 1984. She's also already talking about Wonder Woman 3. And then to a little bit, a little bit more about Wonder Woman 3. The Hollywood Reporter actually put out a article suggesting that it should be taking place in the future, and how it should kind of end her arc and how she thinks about mankind and things like that. So, which I a little bit kind of agree. I think that would be kind of cool arc to go through for Wonder Woman. But Patty Jenkins did come out, and during a interview for I Am the Night, the Hollywood Reporter themselves actually asked her what did she think about Wonder Woman 3, and she had something in mind. She's not going to make a period piece, thank God. It's going to be a contemporary piece, meaning it's going to be taking place during the present time, which I felt would be the best way to end the arc, to end in the present time. We know about her past, and it ends her arc on the trilogy into the present time. And nothing yet. It's too early, I think, to even talk about Wonder Woman 3 without us having even seen Wonder Woman 2, 1984. It's going to be really hard to talk about Wonder Woman 3 in any case. But the conversation also went into something else further. It went into if she would direct a Justice League, and she said that she wouldn't she wouldn't say no, never say never, but in her opinion, because we got a Justice League, and there was a lot of work that went into that and things like that, and she probably kind of throwing shade a little bit to Justice League because that's what happened with that, all the negativity. It's time to get small and move away from that into a solo films, in which to develop each solo character. And she goes into she would love to see a Flash solo and all this stuff until we get another Justice League movie, right? So, and a lot of people agree to that, and a lot of people didn't agree to that. So I see a lot of conversation, a lot of controversy on Twitter today, and I've responded to some of them. I've seen a lot of them, and it gets really interesting because what it is that people, there are a certain group, they're really angry at her. They're saying that she is being disrespectful to Zack Snyder's wishes about a Justice League, having it pushed Justice League out this quick. And we gotta be aware that Justice League already came out. It already came out. So she could be responding to that, saying that didn't quite work, or that now that that's out, we can start doing solo films now because we've got introduced those characters. Now let's watch we got the Aquaman solo. We're gonna have a Flash solo. We're gonna have those different solo movies because we've been introduced to those characters. So we're something, and this is already in the past tense. It's not like we're rebooting and then she's saying that we're doing solo films first and stuff. But then we got into things like how, well, this is what Zack Snyder wanted, or this is not what Zack Snyder wanted. I want to talk a little about this, as this video is probably more of a conversational piece. I almost wish I did a live podcast for this. I should have done that last time. But I want to say that for people who there are people that believe that Zack Snyder, and Zack Snyder even kind of agreed himself on Vero, that he wanted that 5-part arc film to be self-contained, connecting to nothing else. And if we go back to an interview back in Sucker Punch, and I think Royal Wakefield actually copied me on that, is that he said that when they were developing, Nolan and him were developing Man of Steel, there was another Justice League movie. I think that was the one that was made by, I totally forgot, but it was the one that has Batman and Superman and everything, and they were gonna do that film. And so when they asked how that connects to that, he says that's separate. That's nothing even. That's gonna be another Superman. We have another Superman. They have another Superman, and it's gonna be very cool because we have these two universes. When you think about that, when you look at that, and you're thinking about what's happening now, where we're having another Joker film, which I have a little bit more to say on that. We have a Joker film. We have another Joker in this film. The possibilities that we're going to be doing more self-contained stories. It seems to be happening again. We're moving towards back to what Zack Snyder originally intended, having those self-contained stories, right? And so his 5-film arc was going to be mainly based around Superman. It was Superman's arc from Man of Steel. He meets Batman, he meets Wonder Woman, he meets the Justice League, he gets through all that arc. It was going to be a Superman focused arc, and that was going to be his story, right? Now there was that Fire and Water podcast where Neil Daly, who was the person in charge of the test screenings, and he was in those meetings with Zack Snyder, with Jeff Johns, and all these people. He says that Zack Snyder didn't want to rush Justice League right away. He wanted solo films first. But we are also getting that Zack Snyder wanted to get that Justice League was part of his arc. So who's telling the truth? What is the truth here? That's what I want to know, and that's the question I put out. Because before we heard that Neil Daly, we have come to believe that this is what Zack Snyder intended. The 5-part film arc. He didn't want anything expanded, anything like that. Something changed. And, Jeff Johns. But, these people came in and said, you know what, we're going to change that to more of a 3 or 4 film part arc, right? But we're going to interplace the solo films between. So what do we got? Man of Steel. We got a Batman v Superman. Then we got Wonder Woman first. And then we're going to get the first Justice League movie, Aquaman. Then we have Justice League Part 2 later on. So it was going to be interplaced. And according to Neil Daly, that was Warner Brothers' decision to push that further out. So, but Zack Snyder's 5-part film arc originally didn't have any other solo films, right? Is that what we're saying? Is that there, like Jay Oliva had said, there were no solo films, right? So it gets confusing in this point because we're hearing so many different aspects, but it could be part of that one part, the same story, is that he was concentrating a 5-part film arc. But Warner Bros. Wanted to interplace the solo films. They wanted to put it in there. But the question is, was Justice League intended to come before or after the solo films? Where was his arc going to start, or continue on? Did he say Batman v Superman, and then he was still going to do the arc, but after these solo films? But Warner Bros. Says, hey, can we push this one up and push these one back? So those are the questions. It could be a combination of these different stories we're hearing, that Warner Brothers did want to push Justice League up because they wanted to, contend with Marvel. But at the same time, Zack Snyder was only going to concentrate on that 5-film arc. That way, he would allow different aspects for the solo films to be made. So that could be an issue as well. But when you come back, throw it back to what Patty Jenkins is saying. And if Zack Snyder originally intended, he wanted in the background, he was still going to do the Justice League and everything, his 5-film arc, that was his intention. But he wanted Justice League to come after the solo films. If that was his intention, then Patty Jenkins has every right to say that, because that was part of the plan, that they should have had solo films first before that Justice League film. Of course, like I've already said, she could just be saying in terms of what's happening now. We got that Justice League movie. Now let's get the solo films to evolve each character that was introduced in Justice League or Batman v Superman, and flesh those out before we get to the next Justice League movie. So very interesting conversations when we're having all these different things come out. But I can't help notice all these pointing fingers and blaming. But we really could just have a nice discussion about it. And I think everybody pretty much is either right or wrong in certain aspect. But I think we can come to a conclusion. And right now, we don't know the entire truth. We just know part parts of the truth, and I think there's a little bit of truth in between of all these different stories that we're hearing. So I just wanted to get into that a little bit, and be frank, I should have really done a live podcast so we could interact together, but maybe I'll do one with Dave, Film Junkie, and see what we can talk about there. But in the case of different movies that's coming out, where it's mostly going to be a sequel gate at this point of Wonder Woman 1984, Aquaman 2, and who knows what. The one movie that's left on the side by itself is Joker, and that is an interesting thing. It's a really interesting thing because Zazie Beetz went on MTV News and they asked her about the Joker film. And quite revealing is that she can't say much, but it says it's going to be dark and gritty, jokingly, because of Gotham. Okay. All right. So we got that. And then she was also saying that they rewrote a lot of the story. While they were shooting. They had to do things on the fly, if you will, because of Joaquin Phoenix. He was losing weight and stuff like that, or gaining weight. I forgot what she said. And so they were doing a lot of rewrites with Todd Phillips and the script writer in the trailer, and then shooting it the next day, reshooting this and that. So the original, what the movie is going to turn out is probably not what was originally intended from the start, which filmmaking does that a lot out there, but it's interesting to hear it from Joker, where we thought when the original came out, they said this is the Joker movie, we're greenlighting this script and we're gonna go with this one, but now they were able to change and be flexible with it. So this movie is gonna be very interesting. What is this movie? I want to see it. I want to see a trailer or a teaser to find out what is this movie. It's so, I know a lot of people don't really care. It's just a Joker. It's the movie nobody really asked for. But since it's coming out, I'm quite curious. I'm not excited for it, but I am very curious to how this would fit in. Or is this what we're saying? Is this what we're doing? Just like how we were doing back in 2011 when Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder was developing Man of Steel, and there was a Justice League movie on the side that was developed on its own. Two completely different universes, self-contained stories. This is what's happening with the DCEU, or like some people still say Worlds of DC. I like to call it DCEU. It just rolls off the tongue better. But that is something to look forward to. Now, let's end this on something tinfoil-y, if you will. So tinfoil. Here we go. Pisces 20 saying, Josh, too good for you, tweeted this out. And it's really an Instagram story from Brandon Spink, if you know. He was in Batman v Superman. He played young Bruce Wayne in Batman v Superman. When you have that Instagram story, you can message them and they can choose whether to take a picture of it and put it part of their Instagram story. So someone asked him, and I think Josh did, I'm not sure. He says, you gonna make an appearance in any DC movie soon? Shh. That's it. That's what Brandon did. And he put it in Insta story. It doesn't just go in there, people scroll through it. He chose to save that image and put it in Insta story. Now he's a kid, for all intents and purposes, he's a kid. He could be trolling like no tomorrow, worse than Tom Holland and everybody else, but he could be trolling, sure. But let's just, like I said, tinfoil, right? What if he's not trolling? If he wasn't going to be in any DC movie soon, he could have simply said no. But because he did this, meaning there is something to hide, and because he actually saved it and put his Insta story, he made it apparent and aware that there may be something going on if he's not trolling. And what does that mean, actually? That means this is the Batman v Superman young Bruce Wayne that's going to may or may not reprise as young Bruce Wayne once again in a future movie. Could it be the Matt Reeves Batman movie? If it's Matt Reeves the Batman movie, then wouldn't that mean the Brandon Spink is the young Bruce Wayne in Batman v Superman is going to reprise his role as young Bruce Wayne in the Batman, or Matt Reeves is not really calling it's untitled right now. It's untitled Batman film. It wouldn't just make sense that Ben Affleck would be the older Bruce Wayne still yet. I think it would just still make sense. It just gives us a little bit of hope to say that BVS characters, actors and actresses from BVS will still appear in the future. And in this case, if young Bruce Wayne, Brandon Spink as young Bruce Wayne, comes out in the future DC movie as young Bruce Wayne Batman, or young Bruce Wayne, that just gives me hope that Ben Affleck could also reappear in a future DC movie as older Bruce Wayne. Not that the studio said that he wasn't going to be Batman in the future. We're just getting a lot of rumors and these reports and things people are speculating. But it gives us a little bit more hope on the positive side that Ben Affleck is still Batman, right? So that's that little tinfoil for you. Take it however you want it. And hopefully it turns a little bit of a frown upside down to smile at the end of this video. All right, guys. Well, that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.